Story time about the time my mom forced me to be friends with a girl I met at church and things went left. So at this time, I was a freshman in high school. I'm 23 now. And this new girl came to our church. Anytime someone new came, my mom was like, be friends with them, say hi, introduce yourself, because nobody wants to be the new kid. Turns out we were going to the same school. We lived near each other. So one weekend, after knowing each other for about a month or so, we planned a sleepover. So she comes over, we have a good time on Friday night, and then Saturday, she's like, I want to go to the mall. I really want to go to the mall. So I asked my mom. She's like, yeah, sure. So we get ready, we get cute, we put on our little Hollister outfits, and we're about to go to the mall. Before we leave out, she asked for a bag, and this is going to play a key role. I give her the bag, no problem. I'm thinking she wants to carry her phone in it, whatever. She was wearing a dress. She didn't have any pockets, so I gave her the bag. Come back for part two. Part two of the story time. So I gave her a bag. This bag just so happened to be my drawstring cheer bag. My coach would always make us put our names and our addresses in these bags because when they got lost at competition, they were able to be returned to us and we wouldn't have to pay for a whole new cheer bag. So we go to the mall, we're having fun, we go to Claire's, and then we decide, okay, let's go to Hollister. So we go in, we try on a bunch of different stuff. I come out with 2 shirts that I'm going to buy. She comes out with nothing. She says that nothing looked right on her, so we leave the store. As we're leaving the store, one of the employees literally says, excuse me, can I check your bag? When I tell you, before I could turn around and look at who said this, the girl threw my bag into the store and ran. I am in shock. I am shook. I wasn't going to leave my bag because it had all my information, my address, everything. Part 3. So she's running. I'm standing there in shock because flight or flight, apparently I'm just here. I'm just stuck. So the security guard actually catches her about 3 stores down. I don't know where she thought she was running to. And come to find out, there was nothing in her dressing room after she left. This is a telltale sign of a thief. When you go into a dressing room with 3 dresses and 2 pairs of pants and you leave and there's nothing in the dressing room. So they had already had an idea that she had stolen, but she felt like she was safe because it wasn't her bag, whatever. She was just going to blame it all on me. So our parents get called. And come to find out, the reason why this girl was even new to this town was because she had stolen so much from her hometown that her family had such a bad rep. No one wanted to hang out with her. So they moved to a new place. Her dad got a new job. And she was supposed to be starting over fresh. She was just starting over, stealing again in a new place.
Story time about how my husband accidentally told me that he was cheating on me. So just some background information. My husband and I got engaged 2 years ago. And this whole situation happened a month after we got married. So fast forward, it's a Sunday morning. Well, usually every week on Sunday, I clean the whole house. So I woke up, went into the bathroom to take my ring off, and I could not get it off. Mind you, I had gained a little bit of weight since my husband and I got engaged. Anyways, I tried butter, I tried soap, I tried everything, even oil. So after trying to get it off for an hour straight, my finger was 3 times bigger than it usually is. So at this point, I'm really scared that I'm going to have to get it cut off. Because 1, I didn't want to ruin it, and 2, it was really expensive. So I call my husband and he's like, oh, call your dad. Firefighters always know what to do. So I called my dad and thank God he lived 5 minutes away because he drove over really quickly. Like for part 2. Part 3 of how my husband accidentally told me that he was cheating on me. So like I said, I had made reservations for him and I to go out to dinner so that way I could hopefully spark up the conversation about it. So when we finally sat down, I had started up the conversation. I had told him that when I took my ring in to get it fixed, I also got it appraised. And his face immediately changed after that, but he wasn't saying anything. He was like, oh, okay, how did that go? So at this point, I was tired of beating around the bush, and I was like, why wouldn't you just tell me if we were having money troubles? And he was like, what do you mean? We're not having any money troubles. I'm fine. One thing about my husband is that he is very wealthy. And he takes pride in the fact that he is very wealthy. So obviously, me right there kind of questioning his wealth, he fucked up and told me the truth. He was like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I accidentally gave the ring that I was supposed to give you to a girl I was seeing at the time. And I just never got around to replacing yours. So fast forward to present day, I am currently moving all of my stuff out of our house and filing for divorce.
Kidnapping rate in Detroit is so high a woman can't even go to the store alone anymore. I went to Myers and I bumped into a guy in an aisle. He was really, really tall with long hair. And I was like, oh, my bad, excuse me. He looked down at me. He was like, oh, no, you good, you good. Next thing I know, every aisle that I went to after that, he somehow ended up in the same aisle. So I tested the dude out to see if he was really following me or if maybe I was going crazy, you know. So I went to the tampon aisle over by the makeup and all the women's products. Why he end up in that aisle too? So then I started taking my sweet ass time trying to see if this man would leave, which he never did. So I went to self-checkout and deliberately checked the product wrong. When assistants came, I told them, hey, look, it seems like this dude's been following me all this time. Can somebody walk me out to my car? They sent one of the guys that wrangle up the cars to walk with me. So I finished my checkout and me and the Myers employee walked out together. And he and I both noticed this man following me to the car, and then he walked The man walked 4 lanes over to his car, got in there and waited for me to finish packing up my car. Mind you, I had 2 children with me, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. At that point, the Myers employee told me he was about to go get security. I hopped in my car because I didn't feel safe anymore. I was by myself, and I started to drive off. The man followed me out onto 12 Mile, and at that point, I called the police. The police told me to drive straight to the police station, which I did. 2 miles down the road, this guy was still behind me, and I kind of think he figured out what was going on, so he turned off on the side street. I have not seen him since that day.
Part 1 of how I stole my boyfriend's side chick. My boyfriend Zach and I decided to check out a new restaurant in town for date night. We got in his car and started to head out. He usually has better cell coverage than me, so we were using the navigation on his phone to get to the new spot. I noticed his buddy from work, Matt, was texting him as usual. However, this time I noticed the heart emojis out of the corner of my eye at the top of the screen from Matt, which I thought was weird. I started to think about it, and Matt would always text pretty late at night, and my boyfriend always seemed really happy when texting him. I played it off like I was going to look for a faster route, picked up his phone, and quickly copied down the number. When we got to the restaurant, I started paying attention and noticed Zach texting throughout our date. The next day, I called the number and a girl named Jessica answered. He saved her number under Matt and told me he was a buddy from work for months. We started talking and she told me that she had no idea that he had a girlfriend. She also told me that they met on Tinder and they've been talking for a while. She was really honest and cool about it, and she was just as mad as I was. We decided to meet up and talk some more about what we were going to do to get back at him. This is when things got interesting. Part 2 of how I stole my boyfriend's side chick. Jessica and I decided to meet up downtown and come up with a plan on how we were going to confront Zach about playing us both. We were planning on doing it together to make him as uncomfortable as possible. I was surprised when I first saw her because she was drop dead gorgeous, which made me a little nervous at first. We met up at a brunch spot and began talking over mimosas. She was furious with Zach for wasting her time and lying to her, as was I. Everything she was saying was exactly how I felt. A few more mimosas in and she said, "We don't need him, we're way too cute for him anyways, especially you." That's when she grabbed my hand to comfort me. When she grabbed my hand, I got nervous and jokingly made a comment about how I'm done with men. Surprisingly, she agreed and said we should start dating women instead with a smile. We went shopping after brunch and ended up back at her place a few hours later drinking wine. A few glasses in, we began trying on and modeling some of the new clothes we bought. One thing led to another and we hooked up. We really hit it off and we stayed up all night talking and laughing. I went to her place again the next night and the night after that. We both ended up completely ghosting Zach and dating each other instead. It's been over a year now and we couldn't be any happier. So, thanks, Zach!